Namaste and welcome to class. Thank you for sitting with me. Today's class is about what are the purpose of spiritual practices. What is spiritual practices? Let's start with a distinction between the practices that we do because we want just to feel good. It's some kind of transition in your life that is rattling your world and you want some stability. You want you need tools to make sense of that blender, right? And that is okay. Most people come into teachers or teachings in order to feel good. You need to recognize if that is your case. So you don't push yourself into a much more deeper practices, because this is a complete different outcome and it's a different objective. The objective when you are committing yourself to spiritual practices or a spiritual teacher is of three nature. First, you are interested in deconditioning yourself. You are aware that the reality that you are living must be something beyond, that something is behind your daily life. And then you start inquiring what is beyond. You pursue change. You have a certain detachment from making money or building a family or being part of the common standard world. You start relying more in your uniqueness, and you admit more clearly that in that uniqueness there is something beyond. With that first glimpse, you are observing that as I don't want to be part of the standard, I want to decondition myself. I want to own my uniqueness. I want to explore my uniqueness. That doesn't mean that you separate yourself from the world. The opposite. You interact to know your differences. And through compassion and humbleness, you accept the differences. You enrich yourself with differences. Instead of saying, I am in this clan and this is my group and this is what I feel safe and this is where I will grow. No, you do need that diversity in order to touch the edges of your own conditioning. Saying that, then the first thing is about purification. At the physical level, the cells have the tension of that conditioning. Therefore, most of the spiritual practices offer some kind of tools, practices for you to purify your body, purify your mind, stabilizing your mind so you can go deeper. But the aim is to make you realize your illusions, how the mind have constructed something that is unreal, and that you're operating from that imagination. And it's so ingrained you don't notice anymore. Therefore, you do need a feedback from someone who have passed through it to make you a guide. So you know what are the steps. So purification certainly is the first step. And as we accept that, purification must be balanced also with acquiring a new knowledge. You need to reshape your conditioning, not by conditioning with something else, with a dogma or a belief system, as some religions are, but to let it free. Your capacity of learning is free. The second part of the spiritual practice is knowledge, is to acquire teachings, to listen to teachings that will remove that self-doubt, that remove your low self-esteem. And basically is done through first listening to the teachings, then you reflect and contemplate on those teachings, and you make it your own, and then you practice that. You test the ground, you move it into your hands. And basically is to mature certain virtues within you, certain qualities within you, to make you more solid, more in alignment with what you are. So your tendency of being stingy, only me, I, myself, I only can give this much of myself, of my possessions. I have to accumulate things. All that is invited for you to cultivate generosity. And naturally, as you progress and make those teachings yours, you give without that fear that you will lose something, or that it will be an end, or that you will be taken advantage. You have no restrictions in your generosity. So generosity confronts your stinginess. And in the teachings, it's about the generosity of just offering yourself as you are. The other one is patience. Everything have a time. It's not everything happening when you want it, how you want it, in the perfect alignment with your concepts and values. So patience cultivate and dispel that pride within you. Things have to be right now, the way I want, which is usually attached to anger. Then is the cultivation of effortlessness, and that is fundamental to have a sense of enthusiasm in your life. Where is effort, you feel a task, you feel a burden, you feel that you need to be perfect, you feel that you need to edit yourself, you constrict yourself, and what is being killed is your joy, is your enthusiasm. So by practicing effortlessness, you cultivate trust, easiness, relaxation. Once you are in that state of relaxation within you, that enthusiasm dispels any laziness, any limitations, any boundaries. You're ready for anything at any time. Like a mother that have a newborn. Doesn't matter if it's too tired, it will wake up and it will feed the boy or the girl, the baby. Once you are in that state of effortlessness, you are able to enter into meditation, which is just the quintessence of the other purifications. That state of samadhi, that it really brings together, solidified everything within you. It's a effortless concentration and who you are. It activates samadhi. Space of equanimity, a space of emptiness, a space of absolutely no relation to anything you are but creation itself. It's in that moment that wisdom comes and all ignorance is dispelled. The true wisdom have to go through these stages of purification. It's in that state of samadhi, in that state of wisdom, where you have the third stage of spiritual practices, which is the direct transmission from yourself to yourself, from the one to the form, to the formless into the form. And that transmission, when it turns into words, when it's spoken, it fills up the space beyond time, and it becomes available to anyone that vibrates and that wishes to know itself. The transmission of yourself, or from the non-form to the form, when it's spoken, is complete. And that's why so many spiritual teachers have the deep desire to speak, have the deep desire to promote that purification, to demystify spirituality, to connect deeply with this process so it can be offered. That is the generosity of the teachers, of the spiritual teachers, or any teachers, as a matter of fact. So see what is the trajectory and the aim of spiritual practices. See if you are there just to feel good, just to give you some breath in your suffering, or if you are really convinced and commit to end your suffering. Once that is established, continue it every day. Dedicate time to it, because conditioning have been repeated. So re-educating yourself also need to have that kind of guidance, patience, an overview. Why is it you are doing it? What is the aim? So you don't lose enthusiasm. You don't lose motivation. It's important that you keep the aim and your spiritual practice shelter in the true knowledge, shelter in your love, shelter in your sincerity. Namaste.